Hello and good morning.
Hi, is that Arrow Collins?
Yeah, that would be me, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's Chris Blackhurst in London.
Chris, I got to tell you about this book, man. I mean, I did not know this story. I am so blessed to finally learn a deeper truth about this game that is consuming this nation even more than any other day.
Well, you're very kind. It's the wrong name, of course. It should be soccer.
and you know, and that's the thing about it is that how did this American family go from American football to soccer?
That's a very good question. They saw it as a major revenue earner. European football, as we say over here, European soccer, was taking off, and with TV rights, and we were getting cable TV, and it was really the whole industry, the whole game was exploding. And they weren't the first. I mean, there have been other American owners. John Henry came into. I mean, some of them went to, the guys who went into Liverpool about the same time. But the point about the Glazers is that they really have no interest in the game. And they've, you know, in the 19 years they've owned the club, which is the equivalent in soccer of New York Yankees or Dallas Cowboys in the NFL. You know, it's the biggest club with the biggest reach, biggest social media, huge stadium, huge number of fans all around the world. It's got more fans in the United States than in the UK. They never even go to matches. They don't go, and that's what's really riled the fans and upset them.
You bring up a very interesting point when you said that that cable television played a major role in this, and one of the things that we're learning today is how streaming is starting to change things, because the Peacock played that football game, and the nation who didn't have Peacock didn't get to see a Kansas City football game. And to me, maybe that's my attraction to this story. It's almost like these are the roots before we've arrived into our today.
Yes, I think that's a very good point. I mean, look, it's the same in the States with football and basketball. Every town, every city, you know, they all have their diamonds, they all have their squares, and that's where the kids play football, whether it's minor league or higher up. You know, it's the heart of the community. And that's what soccer means in England, and it means all over the world. You know, even if you grew up in a country village, it has a football pitch, a soccer pitch, and they play, and you know where they are. And that's the roots of the sport. Mm-hmm. And where we're heading, and I guess this is the same for NFL and basketball and everything else, is that they're trialing wearables, microdot cameras on players' shirts, so that you will be able to be, you'll be able to watch a game as if you were that player playing. Wow! You pay for it. You pay for it, of course. And then if you're really sick, you might want to be the referee. And you know, so for 90 minutes, you're going to be Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi. Or you know, top basketball player. I mean, yep. And this is stuff that's just coming through now. It's just happening. Wow! And that's going to transform everything. I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, my kids, we rarely see them look at this black box, which we call a television. I mean, they are looking at iPads and tablets. They're looking at their phones, they're on the move, or they're sitting in a chair, but they're looking at something. And it's everything, the way we view sport, that's going to change.
Yep. Yeah. You know, you talk about soccer, about being community. We're falling witness to that here in the Carolinas with our professional team, the FC, Charlotte FC. And man, they sport those jerseys, the fans do, and everybody comes together as a community. Black, white, old, young, kids, everybody. When you see someone with an FC jersey on, it's community.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't think you've got the fans rioting the same as we've got, though.
Well, you're right about that.
That's next. That's what happens. You end up with one community fighting another community. But it's true. And football is a great unifier. Or sport is really. But the point about this sport, and I guess. Basketball and to an extent baseball. I think less so football because you need the physique. But these are games that anyone can play. You know, they always say this, don't they? In fact, it's changed now because women girls are playing soccer as well. But you know, in my day, you know, give a boy a ball and he can make a friend. Because he just goes out on the street and he kicks the ball and another boy comes along and says, can I join? And the next thing you know, you've got 5 boys playing a match.
Yep.
And that happens everywhere, all over the world. And you don't need anything. You don't need any equipment. You put some jerseys down as the goals and you play. And that's, you know, it almost brings a lump to my throat as I say it, you know. But it's true. And it's fantastic, and long may it continue. But at the top end, it's changing into something else.
Yeah. The book we're talking about is The World's Biggest Cash Machine. I know that the focus is on the Glazer family, but I was introduced to somebody that I did not know was a part of this journey, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah. Well, Sir Alex Ferguson was the legendary United manager, son of a Glasgow shipyard worker who took over Manchester United and built them. I mean, they were already the big club. I mean, the story of Manchester United and how they their first team were in an air crash in Munich in 1958. A lot of them died, including England's star footballer at the time, a young guy called Duncan Edwards. And United rebuilt like a phoenix from the ashes. And they won the European Cup, and they were the number 1 team in Europe. But then they went into a decline, and Ferguson came along and took charge. And famously, he introduced kids. In fact, one of our biggest soccer commentators growled on national television and said, "You don't win anything with kids." And they were kids, and they were. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of David Beckham. So there was David Beckham, a whole load of them. They were known as the class of '92. And the class of '92 won everything. And Ferguson won what we call the treble, which was the European Champions League, the English Premier League, and the English FA, the English Cup. You can't win any more than that, really. And he was the manager, and he, in the book, he doesn't really come out very well. I mean, he played both sides. The fans were very opposed to the Glazers. Not, I stress, at all because they were American. That was nothing to do with it. I mean, we're a very open society, and Americans own lots of our clubs. It was that they didn't show the love. They didn't go to the ground. They didn't follow the matches. They weren't there. And they were opposed to the Glazers. But Ferguson would not criticise them in public. And he was being paid by them, of course. And this rankled, this cut deep. And it still continues to this day. I mean, Sir Alex is now in his 80s, but he goes to the matches and he's a paid ambassador for the club.
You know, one of the things we've been talking about the passion of the fans and of the people that make up the teams. One of the things that really catches the attention of the businessman is jacking up those prices for those soccer tickets. I would hate to have been a fan back then because I would have instantly disliked that decision.
Yeah, well, now, in fact, they've gone up over the years at Manchester United.
Yeah.
To be fair, they're not the highest. I mean, I live in southwest London, and I'm a season ticket holder at Fulham, or Fulham, as Americans sometimes call it, but Fulham, which is next to Chelsea in southwest London. Now, there are seats there, not my seat, I have to add, but there are seats at Fulham which are the most expensive in the world, and they are £3,500 for a season, and for that you get about 20 matches. So you can do the maths. It's £150. I can't remember what the dollar is at the moment, but it's £150 GB pounds per match. That's an extraordinary amount of money. And if you think about football or soccer as a family game, and I take two of my sons, and we go and watch, and all around us there are families. Well, it starts to become unbelievably, it's cripplingly expensive. And we're owned, incidentally, Fulham are owned by the same guy, Shahid Khan, who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
But it's not stopped him putting the prices up.
It's such a sport, the business side of it as well as the game. I was first introduced to soccer because of Rod Stewart. Here was this guy that was on Dick Clark and all that was bringing a soccer ball constantly with him. And I'm going, what is this? And so, but even back in the mid '70s, we were just being introduced to this game here in the States.
Yeah, I mean, Rod Stewart's fanatical. He's got that team in Hollywood, isn't he? They used to play in Hollywood. All the Brits and then the Americans would join in as well. And I mean, that's the great thing about soccer. It's not a complicated game. It's as I say repeatedly in the book, it is 22 men chasing a ball around the pitch. That's it. It's not like... well, dare I say it, American football, which I still find baffling. But the American owners are now getting their way. So we've had a big row last year or year before about the plan to introduce the Super League, which was for the biggest clubs. And it's no coincidence that the owners of those clubs are all American because, of course, in your major leagues, you do not have demotion. We have demotion. I mean, Manchester United, the mighty Manchester United, they've been relegated 5 times in their history. Now, if you're spending billions of dollars on buying a club, you don't want the prospect of being dropped down a league or two and losing all the TV rights.
Yep.
So they are determined to shore it all up and guarantee it. And, of course, that goes against the whole ethos of football, where the whole ethos of the game as it is now, which is you support a small club and you dream, you live the dream. I mean, you go and you as we say, it's the hope that kills us. We go along, we hope our team will win. Of course, they don't. But then we pick ourselves up and we go along the following week, hoping they'll win. And that's what we do, and we love it. And they're trying to take that away, and they lost last time, but it's coming back.
Mm-hmm. You speak of those television rights. With the NFL playing games in London, do you feel, being as a big fan of soccer like you are, that it's an invasion? Because if they take away the television rights of a soccer game and give it to the NFL, isn't that stealing from the fans?
It could, although there are lots of fans. I mean, look, as I speak to you, I shouldn't say this because he might. I think there's no chance of him listening, but it's my daughter's partner's 40th birthday, and he is a passionate baseball fan, and his team is the New York Mets.
Yeah.
And in front of me here is a Mets shirt, which we're sending to him. And, people in the UK. I mean, I was watching the playoffs for the Super Bowl, not the whole game. I mean, I can't. It's too long, but I watched the highlights, and there's a big audience now. It's a separate audience. It's very family, probably even more family than soccer. And these games that are coming over, I mean, the only issue we have with the games is that, from our perspective, we want them to be competitive. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to pay a lot of money to watch a friendly match between two NBA or two NFL teams. I want the real deal.
Yeah.
Now, they are changing it, and they are making them the real deal, but they have to make them the real deal. If they make them the real deal, and they're proper competitive matches, and the audience is there, they're sellouts. I mean, 80,000 at Wembley. The last match was at Tottenham's ground. I mean, they play at football ground, but that's just because they're the biggest stadiums.
The book we're talking about is The World's Biggest Cash Machine. Doing the research for this book, did you run into any closed doors or tall mountains? Did people say, no, Chris, we can't talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I ran into one big closed door which had Joel Glazer's name on it. I was hoping to get an interview with him. The family never give interviews. Of course, like every journalist out there, I always think I'll be the one, because you always do. And I think my ego is such that I am going to be the one, and this time he's going to break his rule, and he is going to give me an interview. And I actually was told he was giving it serious thought. And then, of course, I got the call saying, very sorry, but he's too busy. And that meant, because he wouldn't talk to me, it meant that other people on the payroll wouldn't talk to me either. To be honest, it didn't matter, because I knew what they were. I had a good idea what they were going to say, and I also managed to talk to people who'd left the club or who had sufficient inside knowledge. But yeah, there was one that was the biggest.
Wow. What's great about this book, Chris, is the fact that, to me, it takes journalism up to an even higher level than where it's ever been, because it's always been about that soundbite during the 5 o'clock news. But you have really put a lot of thought and effort into this book, where you tell us the entire story at our own pace. I just love the way that you did that.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I love telling stories. It's why I'm a journalist. I became a journalist because of a story that unfolded in Washington all those years ago. I'm not sure which one I am. I don't think I qualify as Robert Redford, or maybe Dustin Hoffman, but obviously Woodward and Bernstein. Bringing down the most powerful man in the world without firing a shot. Yep. Is an amazing, and that fired me. I mean, but it's really about telling stories. It's telling people, taking people inside places they can't get into. They haven't got the time, they haven't got the access, they haven't got the knowledge. It's helping them, guiding them through, and telling them things they didn't know, and I hope I've achieved that.
Yeah. Where can people go to find out more about you, Chris, and to really dive into your work of art?
They go to, I hate to say it on broadcast an advertisement, but there's a seller out there called Amazon, which is very good. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, yes. All good stores, all good bookshops, as they say. I have a Wikipedia page, and I've got my own website. And I've written another book. Previous book was about HSBC, the British bank, the biggest bank in the world
yes.
at the time, how it was laundering money for El Chapo and the Sinaloa drug cartel. This is a different subject altogether, but it's still about money and power. I've always been intrigued by the nexus, the crossover between money and power.
Yes.
And how they play off each other. Unfortunately, I have no money and no power.
Maybe one day we'll get a book from you that's about pickleball.
Yeah. Oh God, no! Don't get me started on that. And don't say paddle to me either. The thing I can't stand about pickleball is have you heard the noise it makes?
Right.
I mean, it's like some screeching banshee. Give me proper 100-mile-an-hour tennis any day. Yeah.
Right. Well, please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Any more time you want me on, happy to oblige.
Excellent. Well, you be brilliant today, okay, Chris?
Okay, thank you. Thanks.